Hello, my name is Gedy Matisen, and today I'm going to talk about outdoor learning methods for environmental education. As I worked in Tartu in Estonia as a adventure hiking hobby class leader. I have worked in the field of education since 2011 and I have many different jobs. I do international projects and I coordinate international networks for schools, but this presentation will focus on my work as a hobby school leader. This presentation is actually supported by the local government of Tartu city where I work and live as part of the stipendium I got as a hobby school teacher. This is the place I live, just in case you have forgotten or didn't know where Estonia locates. As you know, the location is very important because all the content is more meaningful when you put it in the local perspective. And one thing I have to mention about Estonia is that there are 140 nature and environmental education centers all over Estonia and over 1,000 different programs for schools to expand lessons outside from the school buildings. So in Estonia, the environmental education and the global citizenship education and sustainable development education is very important, and it's all mixed together. And these centers offers a lot of public events, camps, different citizen science programs, exhibitions, whole class programs, hikes, and of course different hobby classes. And one of them is here in the south of Estonia, and it's called Tartu Environmental Education Center, but also called as Tartu Nature House, which is a little oasis. It's a very green house built with sustainable materials, and if you have time or interest at the end of this presentation, go to this link that is shown in this presentation and take a virtual tour in our center and learn about the building materials and all these learning spaces that we have created for students. Yes, and we actively demonstrate sustainable approaches to living just by going into the work with bicycle and just using the things that we use in the center in our house. We're not using plastic. So we try to do everything as environmental friendly as possible. The main goals of Tartu Nature House is to spark interest in people, to increase personal responsibility and awareness towards nature. So there's a lot of hands-on activities, and this is the main focus in hiking class 2, and this is actually what I'm really stressing in this presentation, that the method itself is hiking already, and throughout the hiking you can also use different methods. When you talk about water, go in water. When you talk about forest, go in forest. The space that you learn is very important. About the space, we have created around this nature house the space so it is meaningful to learn and it creates possibilities to learn while you play and while you just walk around, and it is interesting for students to just peek under everything, check the composting posts and everything around the house. We have a lot of park area and a lot of games for students to increase their interest in nature, and this is one very important part. When we get these interested students into the center, then it's easier to work with. The center itself is quite big building with the 4 big parts. I will be focusing on this part. And the hobby school is actually working since 1935, which is quite old activities, but we have gone with the new ideas with education. But just in case, I wanted to show a little picture about the school day of the children in Estonia. They come to our hobby class after school hours, after the classes at schools, after the class like sports, after they have done their music school. So we are having these classes maybe from 4 to 6 o'clock, or some from 2 till 4 o'clock. So there's a lot of hobby classes they can choose from, and one is this environmental education. So the reach for us is that we want to help every student to reach their personal learning outcomes and to have more sustainable life choices. And of course, to develop their individual skills and motivate to go forward in what they're interested in. There are many classes for many different ages. My class is for ages 16 to 19 years old. The hobby classes are actually from September to June, in the period of September to June, and the payment for 1 month is actually quite low. It's 12 euros per person. Yes, we get some funded from government, locals, and the maximum size of the class is 15 students. Hobby classes have their own curriculum, but we make a joint work plan at the beginning of the school year, and then actual activities will form from this action plan that we do together. We do not give grades. Everything is very organic, and students have to do self-assessment and peer-to-peer assessment. The teachers are more like me. And as a mentor, we will give information for students about different activities they can take part. They will choose which will help them to reach their goal most suitably. About effectiveness of outdoor learning methods, there are many research done about why outdoor playing and studying outdoors is good. So the students who do it more often are more creative, for example, and more likely to develop good critical reasoning skills and proactive positive behavior. And they are more aware of nutrition and more physically active as well. About concrete methods, we do know that being outside is very positive for a human being, but when you are there with students, you have to use different methods to get them active and keep them in adventurous path of learning, and help them to reach this self-confidence and what they will gain after the experience. So it is very much in leadership skills and a lot of methods that you can use to create that. For example, in my hiking class, I use a lot of inquiry-based lessons. So this is what I really want to tell. Everything has to be very practical, because when you go hiking and something happens, you need to act. You need to be prepared before going to hike, and you need to think before packing. So, for example, let's take this first question. Can I drink water from this river? If you have reached the river and you have drunk all your water, can you drink water from this river? Well, to know that, I have figured out that I can take a water testing kit with me. We can learn about the river right on spot. It's very easy to carry with me, and we can get the results very easily. Also, we can create a water filtering system, and we can also use live straw from straight from river. We can drink water, and I can tell all about how this filtering system works. It's very STEM activity, very much in science department. Also, I have this very nice small pocket microscope. So every time when we talk about why we have to boil the water before we drink it, I can show with this pocket microscope what is actually inside the water. So we can also learn about biodiversity in water. We look the different indicative species of plants and animals that indicates if the water is good or bad. Of course, when you talk about water, we go sailing or canoeing and experience it firsthand. When we talk about energy or something maybe on climbing and energy, we need to know about packing tips, nutritional games, and we also have to do self-assessment because we must understand our own body first, and then we know what to eat and how we are using it. And of course, we have to have cooking skills. Uh, but of course, if we're talking about climbing, then we do have to do everything about this at the climbing wall as well. What about what to wear on the hike of this on this road during wintertime hiking? Yes, very good. Uh, watch weather, do experiments with heat, identify clouds, and imagine what kind of weather will come. Visit hiking gear stores and search about different materials, and camp throughout the year so you will know and you can get the experience. If you're fit enough to carry this backpack for 10 kilometers, first of all, actually set reachable goals. Are you ready for 10 kilometers? It's quite easy, but are you ready for 80 kilometers? So, also, physiological knowledge. You need to know how is your body built. So we have many different things we can search about and study it. Also, we talk about suitable and light equipment, so you won't actually have to carry a lot of stuff with you. You have to know what to take and what is not necessary. And of course, training exercises today to make yourself stronger. About the salad, you can do a salad when you know exactly what plants you can eat. So we have to learn some of the plants. We have to do the citizen science, collect the forest food, preserve food, and look up the nutritional data. So what if you get lost? Well, you need to know about orienteering and share your location, different apps and maps, and plan your route. And when you get really lost, don't know how to get out, you need to know how to build a shelter. So that's what we practice as well. Uh, and how to motivate your team member is very important because sometimes there's very um, this you're out from your comfort zone and you really don't want or feel like, oh, I want to go home. So if we're practicing here is free will. If you don't really want to do, we're not telling you to do anything. So, and of course, positive role models, I will show you and then you can do it or you can decide if you do it. Teamwork exercises are everywhere, every time, every week we do at least one. And I have to give free time to socialize. Of course, if a team leader gets injured, we have to know medical knowledge, we have to adapt the stress and use some rope skills to if the injured needs to be moved, and we do a lot of simulations and role plays for that. And about taking care of the earth, we do a lot of sustainability theater, I do laboratory work, and we go together to the market together, make a list of 4, have discussions, look documentaries, and if you don't find it, we can see if we can invent it and do some push past. This time is really short to keep in 15 minutes, so I'm letting you know that you can download for free this hiking class work plan, which is in Excel, which shows you all the classes I have made throughout this year, and the self-assessment activity book, what I created for my students. Also some cuts from the diary that the students kept, but you know that's in Estonian, so maybe that's not very easy to understand. But also I will add some COVID-19 lesson plans because I had to do this hiking class while we were actually indoors. And of course, I could send the students outdoors by themselves, so I had to think how it's safe enough. And of course, I will add this PowerPoint to this download file. So I really hope you will give me some feedback or send me some questions to my email. So thank you for listening, and I wish you a very fruitful conference.